In today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you inspiration that I created using the Spellbinders Club Kits for July 2024. You can sign up for any one of these clubs from July 6th through July 27th of 2024. First, I'm going to start off with the wax seal of the month for July 2024. Everything is Christmas themed, so it's kind of a Christmas in July themed this month for the club kits. The wax seal is called Joyful Snowflake. It creates this gorgeous snowflake design in your wax. Now, in the wax seal of the month, you not only get the wax seal stamper, but you're also getting a set of wax beads, which I believe they were like this pearlized white. Super gorgeous. I went ahead and created a card. I also did some metallic paint over the top of my snowflake. One example I had was using the silver and one was in gold. I used the silver one on the front of my card, paired with some silver twine, a sentiment, and then the embossing folder of the month for July 2024, which I will go over in more detail a little bit later in this video. The sentiment I used on the front of that card is going to tie right in to the next one I'm going to show you, which is the clear stamp and die of the month. So on top, we have some larger sentiments, and on the bottom half, we have these smaller ones. They all kind of pair together nicely. So we have, you can do Merry Christmas or Sending Joy. There are coordinating dies to go with all of the larger scripty sentiments. And then there is that individual kind of strip to die cut out your sentiments. So it fits the largest one, but you can also use it to trim out these smaller sentiments. I'm always a huge fan of coordinating dies because then I have such freedom to place the sentiments where I want them and I can pop them up if I choose to. One of the cards I created where I used these sentiments is on this one. Now, what I did is I did the Merry Christmas and that smaller sentiment. I heat embossed it in white embossing powder onto brushed black cardstock. It is gorgeous to use those brushed cardstock from Spellbinders to do heat embossing. And since I had the coordinating die, I could die cut it out and pop it up on the front of my card. This card also features the die of the month. Now, if we look back at my previous card, I just used a simple sentiment strip which said Snowflake Kisses that I placed right over the top of the wax seal. So that sentiment was small enough where it didn't hide the design of the wax seal, and this one is large enough where I can combine them and add on the front of my card. So the die of the month, the small die of the month is going to be Skating into the Holidays. It is this beautiful set with these ice skates. I love creating with ice skates for holiday cards. There's just something kind of vintage about it. But you also have sprigs on here. You have a bow. So you can have different things coming out of the top of your skates. And I just loved having that beautiful poinsettia on there. Then we have the Glimmer of the month. So for the Glimmer of the month, this one is called Joyful Holly. We have holly, the word joy, and then we also have a scripty sentiment along with coordinating dies for each of the items. And if you sign up as a Caboodle member, you also get a bonus item because the Caboodle is all of the kits. And then you get bonus items. So the bonus item here is a coordinating stencil to color in the holly. Now, in my example, I'm going to be showing you I colored with Olo markers, but I think it's super handy to have coordinating stencils. This is one where I just foiled them in silver and then I would color it with alcohol markers. But if you're the Caboodle member, you can see how the stencil is going to line up over all of those leaves and you can ink blend over the top of your foiling. But if you are just signing up as a Glimmer Kit member, you can certainly still use these. Here's my example where I foiled it and then colored with my alcohol markers. In this case, it was the Olo markers, and then die cut it out with that coordinating die and added it to an ink blended background. Gorgeous results no matter which way you use it. Next, we have the stitching die of the month, and this one is super fun and versatile. So you're getting kind of an outline piece to your bow. It's going to create a bow on the top of your card. So it looks like your card is the present. So you're getting an outline, and then you also get that inside piece to do the stitching. Now, this is the one of the cards that I did where I just used the main bow piece with the stitching, but you can see if you add in the other pieces, it would create your card to be like a wrapped present. But if you don't use the stitching die, you can still create a gorgeous bow. So if you like the design, but maybe not into stitching, You can ink blend the edges and just create a bow on its own with only the cardstock and not the thread. So I'm kind of just bringing these pieces in to show you how it would look with all of the pieces together. Now on these smaller ones, there's going to be one side that has a little bit more open area to it than the other. And what this is you tuck that open end underneath your bow to give it more of that complete look of a wrapped present. Now in this particular card design where I just used the bow with the stitching and the word joy. So the word joy is hot foiled. I use the Glimmer of the Month for that. And then the background is using the 3D embossing folder, which we will cover in just a moment. Both of those are from July 2024 club kits. I also have one more bonus card for you. This one is more simplistic. So I have just kind of this craft background with the stitched bow die, and I think this is gorgeous just using that on its own without any major texture to the background. Then we are moving into the 3D embossing folder of the month, which is called Pine Cones and Berries. So this is the card I just showed you, but what I did with the embossing folder is first I ink blended a background. I have it darker on the top and faded off as I got towards the bottom. And then after I put it in, I run it through the Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cut machine with the embossing folder sandwich for a 3D embossing folder. And then I went over the top of the raised areas with a sanding block to remove some of that color and give me the white of the cardstock. Really fun and simple technique to do with your embossing folders. The embossing folder of the month, which is 2D, this one is called Hexy Snowflake. Beautiful design for this one. And I did a couple different things. So for this one, I did kind of a partial embossing where I had part of my cardstock hanging out of the embossing folder, so it didn't emboss the entire design. That leaves me room for a sentiment. You could bring in a strip of cardstock to give it more of a separation, but I thought that was a really neat idea. And then another card that I did is using this light purple cardstock. And the way I got those two different colors is I inked up one of the sides of the embossing folder with a white pigment ink. And I ran it through a couple times to really kind of give me that softness to the design. Now, again, I used that word joy from the Glimmer of the Month. I really loved that simple sentiment there, and it just fit perfectly on so many cards. And then the poinsettias come from the Small Die of the Month. This is the Betterpress of the month for July 2024, and this one is called Christmas Haul. I loved this one. I just have a thing for vintage trucks, especially during the holidays. So this one, you're getting the truck, you're getting a tree with a coordinating die, there's tires, and then there are two sentiment plates included in the Betterpress of the month. And there's also these pieces down here that create snow. Now, if you are a Caboodle member, you're getting 3 additional plates for the back of your truck. And I'll show you how those all work in just a second. But this also has a registration sheet with it. So you can do 2 different colors, one for your truck, one for the tires. Now, the tree you have to do separate. The truck all goes on one piece of cardstock. The tree you need to do separately so that you can die cut it out and place it in the back of your truck. So here I'm kind of showing you how you would line your truck up. You would ink that up, run that through your letterpress system, and then you would come back in and do your tires in another color. When I was first experimenting with this, I did my truck in red. I think that kind of reminds me of a truck my brother had when I was growing up. I was pretty young, so I had to really remember it from pictures, but I initially did a red truck. And this is just a quick look at it. So that's why my plate is stained red as I was experimenting. But then I came back in and I did a blue one, and I did it on this light blue cardstock. I love those two different colors. I added the snow to the back of the truck and on the top of the cab. I placed my tree in the inside, and then I have delivering cheer, which I was able to use with the Betterpress and then die cut out with the coordinating die. That smaller sentiment on the bottom comes from the clear Stampin' Die of the Month for July 2024. So after everything was added, I went ahead and added flicks of white paint to create the snow. And keep in mind, you can also hot foil with your Betterpress plates. So you really do get a bang for your buck with these. Then we have the stencil of the month, and this one's called Sprigs and Bow. So you're really getting 5 stencils plus a masking stencil. The first one here I'm showing you is a bow, again, to make it look like your card is this wrapped present. There's 2 layers to the bow, and then you have this where you can mask it off, And you can either do an ink blended background to create your present, or you can use the other stencil that I'm going to show you. This is just a quick example of 2 different colors I used for the bow. I masked it off and did some ink blending. And this was my final card project where I did just a different color of ink blending for the background, and I added that little gift tag on the front to really kind of create that feeling of it being a present. But you could mask off that area and use this other stencil with all of the sprigs. So with the sprigs, this one is a 3-piece layering stencil. You have your sprigs or your leaves, then you have the detail or the, I don't want to say veins of it, but kind of to add the branch. That's the word I was looking for. And then your last layer is for the berries. So if you wanted to combine these two, you would do your bow first, then place the mask on top, and then add this stencil over the top to create your background. But you can use these separately to really stretch the value of your stencil. Now, this is a card that I did where I did the ink blending of the sprigs, but then for the berries, I used some paste, and I think this was, either the lunar or the solar paste from Simon Hurley. I get them mixed up. But I used some shiny red paste over the top of my berries. And then that sentiment is hot foiled, and that is from the Betterpress of the month. So those are my 2 card projects using the stencil of the month, but you can also combine them to get 1 card. So for the Spellbinders clubs, you can sign up for individual clubs, or you can get the deluxe caboodle set. And this will give you everything plus the bonus items. The bonus items are only available in the caboodle kit. And if you are interested in any of these clubs, you can sign up anywhere from July 6th through July 27th of 2024. The clubs usually have a theme to them, so everything coordinates so well together, which I personally really love. Now, I will have the supplies used linked down below in my video description and over on my blog. So if you're interested, go ahead, click on that and check that out. Thank you all so much for joining me, and I'll see you again real soon.